In this video, we'll cover a brief tutorial of using the Coinigy app and also share some of my best tips on actually using this app as well. When I started the training, I talked to everybody on the phone, and one of the biggest things I heard was that in a lot of my videos, I go pretty fast, I'm pretty quick, and if you're new to trading or new to charting, then sometimes it's hard to see exactly where the mouse is pushing buttons or what I'm doing. So in this video, what I'll do is I'll provide just a brief tutorial, and then I'll share some of the top things that I like to do, or some things that I haven't seen in other tutorials or even in the help docs of Coinigy. So hopefully this will give you a leg up on really understanding how to use this charting tool. It is one of the best charting tools that I've used, and it's a good place to start because what it is, it's basically a tool that allows you to chart crypto assets across multiple exchanges, and it gives you a lot of tools to be able to not only chart but also to draw, to actually set alerts. It's a pretty robust tool. You can actually trade on this tool as well, although it's a little frustrating. So how that works, just before we jump in here, is that usually I use Coinigy to actually chart, and then I will go to an exchange and actually place the actual orders. Just because some exchanges it works pretty well, but a lot of these exchanges, the APIs are just not that great. So it's usually just better to go to the exchange. Plus, it's also good to go to the exchange to verify the numbers that you see on Coinigy or the stats that you see on Coinigy, just to make sure that there's no latency between the actual two applications. We've seen that happen before. So now that that's all out of the way, let's jump in. And this is in no way going to be a complete tutorial, but I'll just share a good overview, and then we'll start jumping into things that I find very helpful. So first up, along the left here that you see is these are all the exchanges. So understanding what these are, this is obviously Cryptopia, not obvious, but this is Cryptopia. This is GDAX, right? This is Binance. And what you can do is, let's say you only want to see the ETH pairs. You can type in ETH here, and now you're going to get the ETH pairs for all the assets on that exchange. The other thing that you can do is you could say, I want to see ICX, and then you'll see here, you'll see all the places that ICX is traded. We can go to the ICX ETH, and then we can go to hit BTC, I think it is. And this is showing the ICX USD pair there as well. The other really helpful thing that you can do is you can just type in BTC. So if I type in BTC and then I hit an exchange, you'll see here, I'll see all the BTC pairs. And then what I can do is I can obviously, this is what we do from time to time, is that we'll go in here and then we'll put in alerts. So you'll see here on Zill, for instance, we're looking at the hour charts, and I don't have any alerts for if the price gets below here. So this would be a good place to probably buy, right? Down here, just because. And how do I do that? That's one question I bet people have, is that this is a tool, that's the measurement tool that you'll see here where it says measure. All right, see here? And if I click on that and then I go over here, I can measure time, I can measure bars, I can get a percentage really quick. Now how I do it quickly without doing that is I hold down shift and then left click the mouse button, and then I can draw that, and then I can say, okay, well this is 12%, whatever it may be. So that's a really good shortcut. You'll use that a lot. And really, this is a general tip. You can highlight over these things, and if there is a shortcut, it usually does tell you what that shortcut is. You'll see just the actual measure is the only one that actually has it. So here, that's how I do that. But you could reason this would be a great place to buy, right? Because it's, if it gets down here, people are gonna maybe be dropping their shares. And also it's getting to a price that it's traded below, so you'd reason that it might actually jump back up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put alert, and that's easy. You just go up here to where it says set alert, and you can drag it where you want it. I want it here, so if it breaks this plane here, I want to be alerted. And then I go over here and click set alert, and now when the price gets there, I'll be emailed. You can actually be text as well, so you can get a text message, and then if you're in the application, it'll pop up an alert as well. So that's a pretty handy feature. The next, and that's generally how to get around. I mean, you can actually, let's say there is a chart you really like. So for instance, let's say right now we're doing a lot of acquisitions in Aeon, and let's look at the ETH pair. So you'll see here it's pumped quite a bit here today. But what we can do is we can assign it a special color. We can also add it to our favorites. So now when we go here, you'll see that there's our favorites. I don't use that a lot just because I tend to trade a lot of different things, and I just type in my favorites. So when I have a favorite, if it's AMB, I just type it in, and then I get there to whatever exchange I want to be on. All right. So that's kind of how to get to the assets, right? How to get to the things that you can trade. Let's cover how to actually move around the chart. See how I did that, right? And I moved the chart around and I zoomed in and out. Well, zooming in and out, I'm using the mouse wheel. But how I dragged in and out is I just grabbed an area that is not part of a bar or something else, right? And then I just moved it around. So that's something you can do. The other thing that you can do is you can condense this time frame, or this, not time frame, but the actual the side numbers here, the Satoshi numbers. You can actually condense it or make it bigger. So, and you just left click and then just drag that up. So if you actually want to change that, really other handy things to do. You should know this generally, but you can change the time frame. So we're looking at 1 hour candles. You can look at, okay, 2 hours. Now every candle represents 2 hours of price action. We can do 4 hours, and then we could do the actual day. So you could say 1 day. Now, a real handy thing that I've noticed is the actual auto button all the way at the bottom. So if you do this, if you click this, it will automatically scale the chart. And sometimes it works okay. You'll see there it was kind of okay. But if I actually go here and click 2 hours and then click on auto, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. You'll see it actually just kind of centers the chart, and it gives you the ability to kind of move it around in a centered fashion. Now notice, now that I'm trying to move this, it's not moving the way it should. One way that I found that's kind of annoying actually, but one way that I found to alleviate that is you actually just go here and change that a little bit, and now you can move it around. So I know that's a small point, but it's a frustrating thing when you actually maybe your chart's down here and it's in the volume area, right? Like down here, sometimes that happens where the chart's in the volume area. Well, I just like to move it up here so I can actually see it, but sometimes I can't, so I have to just adjust it slightly there, okay? So that's what we do sometimes. Now, another really handy aspect to actually look at the chart that I suggest everybody do, because I always suggest you look at larger time frames, is let's select center, CTR for instance, center. So you'll see here we have center here, and we have an actual sell limit of some free coins up there. Now, I always suggest you look at the larger time frames, and you can do that by these little buttons that you see down here. I can look at the 3-month time frame. Now each one of these is 12 hours. You'll see that it says 12 hours here. I can look at the 1-year time frame. Now each one of these is a day. And then I can look at the 5-year, and then each one of these is a week. So it kind of adjusts the time frame automatically for you based on what you select here. So this is, you're going to actually want to use these buttons quite a bit actually, because when you maybe get an alert. So what was the one that we put an alert on? I should remember. I think it was AM. Was it AMB? No, it was ZIL. Sorry, ZIL. That was only like 5 minutes ago. ZIL, right? And I think it was the ETH pair. Notice ZIL hasn't traded that long, right? It just hasn't traded that long. So, but what you'd want to do is you'd want to look at the 3-month, right? And you'd want to say, okay, well, where are we at in the chart? You'd want to look at the 1 month, and then you're looking at 4 hour, and then you're looking at 1 week, and then you're looking at 1 hours, right? And then you can look at the 3 days, and then you're at 15 minutes, and then you can look at the 1 day. See how quick you can get a full picture of where that asset is and what it is just by going down in the time frame, starting at the highest and then going down. You get a good feel of where you're at in the chart, right? Now let's stay in ZIL and let's do the 3-day time frame, and let's actually do the 1 month because I want 4-hour candles. So these over here, and I intentionally didn't cover these because these over here are your tools. and they're your tools to actually draw. So if you want to draw a trend line, for instance, you could draw a trend line to the upside here, and then you have a trend line there, right? You can draw a trend line. Notice I don't draw trend lines like most people. I draw trend lines specifically this way because it's the start of a value channel, okay? And then you can also, if you want, you can actually then draw a parallel channel. So that's in here just by going to the actual, this one here, and going to parallel channel. And then you could drag up here and then drag it down. And now we have a parallel channel that we've created, right? A parallel value channel. Now we created this value channel. This would actually be like this. We created this value channel on the 4 hours. And then when we go to the 1 hour, we get a better angle, or better idea of what that value channel looks like in the 1 hour time frame. So you'll see here it kind of crossed over. I'm getting a little advanced in some of the charting, but this is basically what you would use these tools for, right? You can also, there's advanced tools on here as well. Probably the biggest tool that I would say, which I probably should have covered first, is the long tool. And this is a tool that you can use for your positions. So let's say that we're looking to enter ZIL right now, right? And we're thinking that, okay, we're a breakout trader. And if it breaks this plane right here, we think it's going to break out, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the long tool here. So it says long position. And then we're going to put it right here. And then you'll see here what we can do is that we can say, okay, well, this is our stop loss. Our stop loss is going to be here where it stopped before, right? Which is 2%. And then we're going to go long, and we're going to go long just below this tick mark, and we're going to go long 5.8%. So you'll see over here to the right, we can see the exact Satoshi number, 529. We can see where the actual price is at here, and we can see our stop loss number as well, which is 488. So this long tool is a really handy tool. You can use it on any time frame, so we can go down to the 30-minute, and it's still there. So you can go down to the 4 hour, and it's still there. So this is a really handy tool to use when you want to plan your positions. I do a little bit of this. Sometimes I use this tool, but usually because I've been doing this so long, what I end up doing is just using the quick. Okay, well that's 4% there, and usually I can kind of do this in my head now, and then I can say, well, that's 6% there, right? So I can kind of get a good idea of where we're at and where I want to exit, or where I want to enter, where I want to put stop losses. All right. So, but that long tool is a great tool. This long tool is really a good tool. It gives you a visual. It's clear, and you can move this left and up and down based on where you want to set your profits and your stop loss. So it's a really good tool. And I'll cover one more thing on the long tool. All the tools have a little toolbar here that you can change the color of various things. And if you want things to be not as, maybe more transparent, the really helpful thing here is actually on here, you can actually go in here and edit the specific numbers. So you could, if you're on the exchange and you want to just copy your entry price, you can put it in here, and you can drop your entry price right in here, and it'll bring it right to where that entry price is. Okay. So that's what you're going to do a lot if you want to edit the coordinates, is just hit this actual settings tab here, and then you can actually edit the coordinates. I do wish that they had like a faster way to be able to do that, because I do that a lot, but this would be, this is how you would go in there and actually set your entry coordinates. So that's the long tool. Now I'll cover a couple different things that I just found, and you'll see here, look, ZIL actually is breaking out, or it's trying to. So if you're a breakout trader, you might have saw that and say, hey, this might be an opportunity for a breakout trade possibly. But let's go to BTC. So we'll do USD, and I'll share with you where it's really helpful to know a couple different things, right? So if we go to BTC USD, first up, you notice there's a lot of drawing in this chart. So if you're trying to look at this chart and say, oh, wow, what's going on here, right? One of the easiest things that you can do to remove all that, and just temporarily, is you can click hide all drawing tools, and then everything's removed, okay? So if we go to like the 2 hour, for instance, on BTC, obviously with all of the lines here where you can't see anything, right? But you can easily hide that, and then now you can actually see the chart, right? and then you can unhide it. So that's something you're going to want to know. Also, this is something that it's easy to overlook, but if we go to well, let's just draw. Let's select this. So see this where it says magnet mode. If that's selected, sometimes you'll go in here and you'll draw things, and it won't go exactly where you want it to go. Okay, and the reason for that is because your magnet mode is turned on, and it's not doing it exactly how it usually does it. But sometimes what happens is it will then it will attach to certain things the way that you don't want. If you turn off magnet mode, like I have now, you pretty much have free form of everything, okay? Meaning that things don't snap to each other and everything else like that. So if you see things snapping to like the grid or something like that, check and see if you have magnet mode turned on, okay? The other thing that you can do is you can stay in drawing mode. So if you click on this, you'll always be in drawing mode, and then you can just draw real quickly. So that's another helpful feature. I'm going to turn that off though, because I like to move around the chart. Now, let's cover indicators and how I like to set things up. So this is, and this probably be towards the end here, but let's just go to, I don't know what chart we're going to go to, but let's go to GVT, I guess, government. It's not government, but I call it government. As you can see, we've traded GVT quite a bit, and we've sold GVT quite a bit here. We'll probably get into buying it here as it kind of crosses this line. You'll see that we have alerts all the way down here. So we're going to start our buying once it kind of dips here, if it does. Now, one of the things that you can do is you see we have the MACD here, right? So if you want to add indicators, so let's say we want the RSI indicator, you can just type up here where it says indicators, and then find the indicator you like and do RSI, and we'll do the stochastic RSI. We'll add that to our chart, and you'll see it's actually here, right? There's the RSI, there's the MACD. Now you can right click on any one of these things and you can merge it up, merge it down. I'm not going to cover that, but if you want to, basically you can merge these two charts together if you wanted to, which is a kind of a cool thing. The other thing that you can do is that you can format it. So you can change the colors, you can change the actual every individual thing with it, okay? And the other thing that you can do is that you can obviously change the size. So I can change the size. You can hide it temporarily. You'll see here, there's show or hide. So if I, for some reason, I don't know why it just does it. Well, this is if you have it stacked, then it would not show it or hide it. But if it's in its own pane like this, it will just hide it in that pane. Let's start with a complete kind of naked chart, and let's add indicators that I think you might want to look at or you might want to add, okay? So let's do that. So let's go to something we don't usually trade. Let me see if I can find something I don't usually trade. So DLT, something I think we bought once. For some reason, I'm sure we sold it probably here or probably, I don't know, probably here. We probably sold it here, I would assume. But for some reason, Coinigy is not showing where we sold it. So we've traded this once, right? But it's on a downtrend, okay? Let's remove all of these things. So I'll remove all of these things. And that's how you remove these indicators, okay? Now, let's say that you want to add moving averages, okay? Well, this is real easy. And a moving average is basically just a line that shows you the moving average of that. What you would do is you would go to indicator and you would go to moving, and you could say whatever moving average you want. You have a lot of options here, but we'll just do the moving average. And now you'll see now there is the moving average, and you'll see it says 9, okay? Now what you can do is you can edit this, and we can change the inputs, and let's say we want that to be a 30 moving average, and we want this line to be a little bit bigger so we can actually see it, and we want it to be red. And you'll see here, there's the moving average. See it there, right in the middle of the price action. It's pretty much following the 30 moving average pretty good, right? Let's say that you want to add a 100-day moving average. Simple to do. All you do is do moving average. Click on this. And now you have another moving average. It's still set to 9. Now what you can do is you can go to format. We can change the color. So maybe we want this to be yellow. I suggest what you do is you always use the same colors, okay? and then let's do 100. So we're going to do 100 moving average. So this is a 100-day moving average, right? And you'll see there's the 100-day moving average. So you'll see here, that line is right here. That's the 100-day moving average. All right. Now, let's say that you want to add the MACD. This is, you like the MACD. All you have to do is you have to go to indicators, and we'll add the MACD. And now the MACD is added. Now I've already added some things to this, so that's why it showed up again. But let's say that you added the MACD, you added the RSI, okay? And let's say this is how you like to look at your charts. You like to look at your charts this way. This is, you like to have the MACD, the RSI, and you like to have 2 moving averages here, okay? What you can do then is you can then save this. And all you do is you go to here and you click Save Indicator as Template, and you can name it whatever you want. You notice I like to name what they are. I like to name what they are so I can go in there and it can easily see what they are. So what you can do is you can say, well, this is, test, and then we can say 1 hour. Usually what I do is I do 1 hour. You'll see the time frame there, and then I say what it is. Bollinger Bands, moving average, and then you'll see that I have MACD and SRI. That way I know what I'm going to open, right? But you can name it whatever you want. You could say my favorite, right? You can also save the interval, and what that means is you're going to save the time. So when you actually pull this up, it will actually pull up the time frame. So we have 2 hours here. So you'll see save, and now anything that I go to, so you'll see here, if I go to CDT, for instance, right? So we go to CDT, and what I'll do is, let's say that we completely didn't have these here, right? We didn't have these charts here at all, right? And let's say we were just looking at CDT. We can then load this, and we can say my favorite, and now it's going to load everything there, and we have everything on the chart, okay? So this is another good way to actually just save your charting, to save what you're doing, is that you can save your indicators, and then you can actually add them there. One other thing I would suggest that you do, and I don't know, well, volume's not on here. Well, that's annoying. So you'll notice I got rid of volume. You should never not have volume. So you should have volume there. So I should have volume. So you shouldn't probably remove volume. One thing I do like to do on the volume here, so you'll notice here at the bottom, volume here. One thing I do like to do is I like to right click on this and format. And then I like to change this actual area here to basically you can't even see it. I don't like the volume bars to be actually covered. So I just change this, and then I can't even see the actual. I don't really use the moving average on the volume, right? So there I can't even see the actual moving average on the volume. So see how it kind of covers everything? I don't like that. So what I usually do is I just go here, and then I save that as part of my charting package. So whatever settings that you save, and then when you load it, so you'll see here, if I load this here, I'm getting what I've saved, right? In here is the MACD, the RSI, moving average 30, moving average 100, moving average 200, Bollinger Bands, and that's kind of one of the ways that I like to look at the charts here when I'm looking at how do other investors look at this, how do other traders look at what's happening here. This is kind of what I like to do. And you'll see here on CDT, right, it's bouncing off some of these moving averages. It's right in the middle of the 30. It's bouncing off or it went through the 100, but it's kind of bouncing off the 200, right? So sometimes you can use these indicators really well, and in addition to that, it's actually the top of the RSI in the 1 hour is really aligning with the 200 moving average, right? These are all things that you can factor in. You can see, does a asset respect these things? Sometimes you'll find that an asset really does respect moving averages. It really does respect, it really does bounce off that, or it really does maybe bounce from that, right? These are all just things, once again, to help you build your best indicator, which is your mind. Hopefully I might do another video where I'll just be more pointed about some tips on using Coinigy. I feel like so far I've made this longer than as I usually do, but hopefully this covers some good tips on using the tool. The biggest thing I could say that you should do, and just start pushing buttons. I have a software business, and one of the things I've said in the software business is that you can go into our tool and just start pushing buttons. Just start pushing buttons. You're not going to break anything. Nothing's going to go wrong. Just start pushing buttons and see what they do. You can usually do that with this. Now, one of the frustrating things, if you start pushing buttons and things start looking weird, then it can get frustrating. But usually you can easily reverse these things when you do that, right? So that's something to keep in mind. I'll do another tutorial on this, maybe covering just like single tips, right? So that it'll be like 2 to 5 minutes long. I'll just say, well, here's how to add indicators. Here's how to do this. But I wanted to provide an overview as we kind of move into the charting with the training, so that at least you kind of have a good overview of some of the things that I do, or some of the shortcuts that I take, or how to, at least at a minimum, have a bare understanding of some of these things. Okay? So I'll do more videos on this. Hopefully this one is good. You can definitely leave feedback below. You can join the Discord group down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.